Look at that, people. Now that's what I call a red sun, red morning. That's the sun coming up. Look how red.
Look! We're going to do some science. So we actually had an individual that put together an excellent analysis of the recent wane finding about the sun possibly tilting. So what we've done on the top is we set up the perspective of sunspot 2546 from the Earth. It's about 23 degrees below Sol's equator in relation to our typical or normal view. Then, using the photographs that Wayne took and the observations that we made, this particular scientist then said the position of the sunspot 2546 from R. Wayne Steigler's photograph moved 45 degrees southwest from the Earth's perspective. Now the reason that this is so important is because as the sun goes, so we go. So if the sun is doing a nosedive and starting to go in a different direction, or it's starting to get attracted, or it's going somewhere, we are going to follow it. And we will also end up with the same kind of orientation. And this is where the pole flip discussion comes into play, because we're not just going to flip for no reason. Something else is going to have to flip. Something else is going to have to happen in the solar system, and I believe that this might be a harbinger of the pole flip, guys. That's why I think this is so important for us to pay attention to it. Well, you're saying, well, Steve, the sun is maybe dipping 45 degrees, but what's that got to do with us? Remember, we electrically align with the sun. So that means that whatever electrical alignment there is, we're going to be forced into it as well. So that's why this is very important. And this is the kind of analysis that I'm looking for. What I'm not looking for is Ben Davidson from Suspicious Observers coming onto my site and saying, no, no, no. I need him to tell me in science terms why we're full of crap. And we're open to any kind of critique, even critiquing this analysis. So please tell me what you think, because this is so critically important that we understand this and we don't get any more disinformation on it, because this could potentially be the harbinger of our pole flip. So let's think about it and talk about it some more down below in the comments. Check this out. Basically, I believe this is diversionary. This is on May 17th. NASA successfully launched a gigantic helium balloon in New Zealand for a 100-day mission. So that put us well through the summer. It's a 19 million cubic foot behemoth now floating over southern Australia, where it is visible to the naked eye. There are many calls along South Wales talking about it, but check it out, man. This is the super pressure balloon, and I believe that they're putting it down there just to throw us off when we see it. But we can actually real-time track this balloon if we just click on this. I'll put the link below, and you can actually see where the balloon is right now. Here's the balloon cam. Here's what it's looking like from where it is, and then this is where it's traveling around the southern hemisphere below Australia and New Zealand and so forth. So kind of be aware of this balloon out there, guys, because it is definitely something that could fool us, okay? So this is an extremely important, I think, and interesting picture for a variety of reasons. The first thing I'd like to point out are these two very bright orbs to the right of the sun. And I saw these a couple weeks ago in Puerto Rico, a very clear shot of them, and I'm going to show you 2 or 3 more here today that kind of validate that we have these 2 very clear orbs on the right hand of the sun, which I wonder if it's part of some kind of a cluster group or whatever. But check out what's really interesting about this particular photograph in addition to that orb. If you look up in here, just look up above the left side of the finger there and look what we got. Is that Nibiru with its planets around it? I don't know. That is a compelling shot, you guys. And this is a daytime photograph. Just incredibly compelling, photograph here today. So this was one of the really good ones I got in the last couple of days that show those 2 little orbs. But let's talk about the 2 little orbs a little bit more. So here in this picture, it's a different picture from a different part of the country in the United States. Excuse me, but you see, here's those 2 orbs again, and then here's that little cluster group or planet grouping or whatever we want to call it up in that upper left corner of the sun again too. So we see these little objects, and here again we see that like faint appearance, again, from a completely different photograph, right? And then here's the same photographer, just different shot, same thing. We've got the two orbs sitting by the sun and then this cluster group above it. So very, very compelling orb photographs. And then here's a completely different one from Illinois, again, showing the very well illuminated orbs, which are not planets, by the way, just so you know. And then we can see up in here, very faintly, we can see these other objects that we were talking about. And then here, what we see is interesting because it's got this is that orb with the hole in it. And these things tend to move around really fast. This is, I think, from one of the, from New Jersey, I believe. And then this photograph was kind of compelling for two reasons. This was a telephoto lens, and when you see it without the telephoto lens, just the sun and a dot. But when you put the telephoto lens in, you start getting some definition down in here, like there's some type of an object in this area. But look at this detail right here, unbelievable. You know, amount of detail, and I'll get a close-in shot of that here in a second. We'll look at it together. Again, another one which faintly shows those two orbs. But look above the sun in this picture, guys. You see this? This is a lens flare, I'm pretty convinced. But you look above the sun, and here again, at that more or less 2 o'clock position, we see that orb like we've been seeing in Australia, and we have some current shots of that today's show again too today. And then here's just the Addicted to Sports cam that we were looking at together. So really good stuff. Now let's move on to a couple other photographs that I'd like to take you through then. One of my favorites actually this week is this one. This is a pug from a friend of mine, and she is trying to see, she wanted to send Charlie her picture just to see if Charlie would be interested. Charlie is interested, but he's not into long distance relationships, so that was the final thing. But my Shih Tzu went nuts, and my Shih Tzu loves this dog, so there is something that could happen there. Just to give you some hope. Charlie's not really into it, but Max, my Shih Tzu, really is into it. Now this picture is weird because this is one of those Australia cams again, right? And something is happening here where it's throwing off all kinds of orbs. I believe that the camera is wet, right? But still, it's kind of a compelling image because there's so many different things to look at in here. But again, flares, not necessarily the best evidence that we have, okay? But here is something that I thought was compelling. Again, you know, we could be looking at, you know, some water droplets and things on here, so I want to be careful. But see this like red? That could be Mars as well. Let's take a look at another one. This one is interesting because in New Farm we actually got a very clear manifestation of an orb where the sun went right by the orb again. And this next one is super compelling. This one's from South America. And let's get that opened. So here's where we've got the big, huge halo that we've been documenting, and a planetary object apparently visible in the photograph and in the frame. Very compelling halo image. Now this one is interesting because everybody talks about the all sky cams not being reliable. Well, yeah, they've got weird lenses on them. I definitely would not be too excited about using them for any kind of specific work. But in terms of just looking at the sky, they're fine. And this is not a lens flare per se, but again, these are things that could be refractions and so forth, but very compelling images still coming off all sky cam. Here's an interesting cloud photo that we picked up the other day. That's just this strange new cloud formation that we're seeing. Now check out this one, man. I don't know what to make of this one. Is that photoshopped? I don't think so. I don't know. But it definitely is a compelling planetary image. Here's somebody I trust a lot more, though. I just haven't seen a lot of photographs from Denise yet. But this particular photograph from Sharon is very compelling because she actually caught the colors of a planet. And she's really good at capturing this stuff, Sharon is. And then we've got this one where she actually was able to see through a faint, kind of grouping in the clouds. She was able to see this very red orb again. So good job, Sharon, as usual. Now I'd like to show you this one. This is one of the ones. This is from Arizona, the Arizona Skycam from the 25th. Look at the definition of the orb itself. Look at how it is round. It's got a round, like, top on it. Some people call this the Empire Orb, but since it's showing up in that general location of a refraction like Roy would probably teach us, this is probably the real object or somewhere behind it, and this is the refraction of it. But look at the definition of that. That is just crazy. Look at that. Unbelievable. Now this next set of photographs is very benign, right? So here is benign photograph number 1 from somebody's rear deck. Nice sunny day, normal light. A few minutes later, when sunset started to appear, this was the color of the deck. So it went from this to this. Just another piece of information, okay? Check out this compelling night image. These can't all be lens flares, you guys, okay? Just can't be. Check this one out now. You say, well, Steve, that's just a lens flare over by the moon there, or you're looking at other planetary bodies. Well, first of all, there's nothing on Stellarium, and number 2, those are orbs. Those are not lens flares. Still getting lots of feedback on the compasses. This is yet another example of where north is off by about 22 degrees. I picked this picture out just because I thought it was cool. This was a flight from yesterday, and basically they got up in the air and the sun was actually showed a shadow of the airplane, and he caught it at this very key moment. Look at the colors around the sun itself. I was listening to some Camelot this morning, and that one guy that talks about Nibiru all the time, and he was talking about the dust. Here again, we have these images up here. That as, and this is a little bit better, more defined view of it, and as it gets closer, what he's saying is that as we get covered in the iron oxide dust, that the sun will be obfuscated for a period of time, but it's also at the same time that we lose our magnetic shield. So he thinks it's a wash. I don't know. Watch Camelot. Watch the interviews by these different Nibiru experts. It's all information to take in, right? Here's another one with that orb with the hole in it. Unbelievable. And then this was interesting in that here's that orb again and again seeing that little teeny hole in it. And in this one you can see the orb behind the cloud. Now here's a neat moonshot, right, from Sharon the other day. The only problem with this is that 5 minutes later, after she got this really clear moonshot, it disappeared. Go figure. Then we got some Roy footage today. And again, he's capturing all these little anomalies, 3-dimensionally, showing up in the sky cams. Right? Here's something compelling that he caught on the 21st of May, a little circle, which could be the bottom of a planet, who knows. And then come up to a couple of more recent ones that he did from today, or yesterday rather, and you can see this one is from Bear Paw in West Virginia. And that's what's most disconcerting, is that we're seeing these things in the North American sky cams. Now in this one, the subscriber was trying to show me the difference between no shadow and a shadow, almost as if this little thing was being eclipsed somehow. And I'll just roll in on it a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. In this picture, there's no shadow, and in this picture, there is a shadow. Very interesting stuff. This picture comes to us from Oregon. This is just very strange red materials in the white clouds, which we hypothesized to be iron oxide. Here's a direct shot of the sun taken by Mark Reed with his telescope. And what was interesting about this one was as you blow into this little area, it almost looks like there's something glommed onto the sun. It's very, or it just could be the way that the sun is constructed, but I mean, check that out. It's kind of weird. Here's another ISS shot. And in this, we actually see the movement a little bit, but you can actually see back in here the grouping of objects and so forth. And here's that big one that shows up on the side. Blow this up a little more to make it easier to see. What are all these things over here, guys? We've got red, we've got green, we've got blue, we've got yellow. So that's ISS from the 24th. Just more evidence. Again, corroborating all these different data points, okay? This is just trying to show this red orb here. And then in this one, it gets really clear. Here is a picture where we looked at this as a storm chaser, where they actually took pictures of this tornado, and then they also got 2 light sources on Channel 5 Coco down in the south. Unbelievable stuff. And one last one, and then we'll get off the kind of looking at photographs and go on to some other stuff. But I just look at this, guys. This is the Canadian webcam, and those aren't water drops, man. I can't tell you what it is, but I can tell you they're not water drops. It just looks like a huge asteroid or something that they're capturing this. And then we got this from Turkey today as well, where we're seeing just an amazing display. And then this France. In France, we're seeing this webcam. I cannot explain why, but we're seeing these like big smoke rings around the sun. Maybe somebody could weigh in on that and take a look. All right. So thank you for bearing up with me going through all my pictures that I got behind on. Now check out this Newmeyer Station video from the 21st and 22nd. See that thing in the background? Doosh. And then there's something that stays there, and another light that shows up, and then it goes away as the day progresses on the 21st. Again, as it gets to the 22nd, goes, and then it will wrap around again, and you'll be able to see this effect one more time when it gets to the night hours of the 22nd. Just a very strange phenomenon. Take one last look at it here, and then here again we have the, I don't know, on the horizon, and then very red skies, of course, and then the blue skies, and then here's that effect again. It almost seems like something just shoots off to the left. Very